Just to finish off, we'll get Alex to lower the flag. There we go. For those children who came in a bit late, we're going to be doing the snake and spider thing next. That'll be announced in about 5 minutes. Okay? That'll be over in the reptile house. We'll just see, just before you go, let's see if you're going to wait for everybody first. You're going to say bye-bye. Give you a little hug. Say bye-bye.
David. What's his name? David.
Right. If you adults at the back and the other kids would like, they can't hurt you. I mean, who knows what this spider is? And I bet I know what everybody's going to say. Tarantula. Yes, I thought everybody was going to say that. No, there is no such thing really as a tarantula. It's just a nickname. Okay? It's not a type of any particular spider. It's a nickname in general for any old big hairy spider. The name actually comes from Italy, where hundreds of years ago, right back in the Middle Ages, they used to believe that the first sensible thing to do if you got bitten by a spider was a dance called the tarantella. Now you can see where the name tarantula came from, because over the years tarantella became tarantula, and people have used that name for big hairy spiders ever since. Now his real name is a Mexican redleg, or Mexican red-leaved spider, and you can see why. How many legs has the spider got, kids? Who said 6? It was him. Now insects have 6 legs, spiders have 8 legs. Spiders are not insects. Yes, you're quite right, 8 legs. Now you might count 10 if you counted them, but the 2 small ones in the front are not really legs. They're called pedipalps, and he uses those to feel his way along and to hold on to his food. So they're not really legs, they're more like arms. Now, how many eyes do you think he's got? More than 2? More than 4? 8, yes, he's got 8 legs and 8 eyes. Now that doesn't mean he's got an eye on each leg. His eyes are very, very tiny. And when I walk around with him, you'll be able to see his eyes. They're in a tiny little black blob right on the top of his head. Now, some species have 6, some have 4, some have 2, some don't have any at all. Now, in spite of all those eyes he's got, his eyesight is absolutely terrible. He's very short-sighted. He can really only see things when they're very close to him. And he can also only detect his prey when it's moving. We put a few live crickets in there once a week, and they hop around merrily until the spider feels hungry. But if we put dead insects in his cage, he wouldn't recognise it as food. He'd walk right over it. So we have to feed them on live insects. Our snakes, incidentally, all get fed on dead food. Dead rats, dead mice. They're killed humanely before we get them. It is cruel, it is unnecessary, and it's actually against the law to feed snakes on live animals. We wouldn't do it. If you know anyone who's got a pet snake and he feeds it on live animals, he's breaking the law, and you can report him to the RSPCA. It's not necessary to do this because a snake will detect its prey more by its scent than its movement. So as long as it smells right, they'll eat it. But spiders are different. They do need living food. Now if you look at his back, you'll see he's got some long hairs. See those long hairs on his back? Now these are like nettle stings. They're very fragile. They break off very easily. They've got an irritant substance in them. And they're, in the wild, they're his first line of defence. If something was creeping up behind him wanting to eat him, he would use his back legs to kick those hairs off very, very quickly. They form a sort of cloud in the air, and that would, if they get into the animal's eyes, they can make it temporarily blind. And that, of course, would give him enough chance to run away. So there's his way of defending himself against getting eaten. Now you'll notice he's going a bit bald at the back there. That's not because he's an old spider, although the females of these species can live over 25 years, which is a long time for a small animal. The males don't live very long because the female tends to eat him after mating. This is a very common spider habit. So if you gentlemen believe in reincarnation, just hope you don't come back as a male spider, because unless they're very quick on their feet, they don't last much beyond the first mating. But that's by the by. Now he's going bald, not because he's getting old, but because he's kicked a lot of the hairs off against the glass of his case. Now the reason he does that is not because he's got anything in here that wants to eat him, but we do get quite dangerous things in here, known as children. I'm sure you've heard of them. And these children, or I'm sure a lot less well behaved than you, they bang on the glass. Now we ask you not to tap or bang on the glass of the cages of anything in here, because that frightens the animals, and when the spiders are frightened, he kicks the hairs off, and that's his defence. So he gets balder and balder as the season goes on, because nobody takes any notice of us. And we get lots of children in here who come and bang on the glass. Till by the end of August, he's got no hairs left at all because he's lost them all, he's kicked them all off. Now, fortunately then, he sheds his skin. Now, if you look in the cases with the spiders, you'll see what looks like bits and pieces of a dead spider. If you look in the case of the Haitian brown spider, which is at the far end there, you'll see a complete shell, which looks very like a dead spider. Now, it's not a dead spider, that is the complete outer skin that he shed. Now, it's not really a skin like our skin, it's a skeleton. These animals don't have their skeletons inside us like we do. Our skeletons grow along with us because they're inside. But these animals have skeletons outside their bodies, like a shell, and it can't expand. It's like you. If you wore a coat continuously, you'd eventually grow out of it and it would split, and you'd have to go out and buy a new one. That's more or less what happens to these spiders, except that they don't have to go out and buy a new coat, they've got their new coat on underneath. So what happens once a year is he needs to grow, he needs to expand inside, so the top of his body flips up like a little trapdoor and he sort of climbs out of himself. It's the only way I can put it really. He leaves the old skeleton behind, which just looks like a dead spider. Obviously it breaks up over the months and bits and pieces of it become scattered around the cases. But all spiders actually do this. If you've ever looked closely at a spider at home that's made a web, you might see a little curled up what looks like a dead spider in the corner of the web. That's actually the old skin. So it's not a dead spider. And now when he comes out, he's got a new skeleton on underneath, which is very nice. He looks like he's been freshly polished. His markings are very, very vivid, and he's got a whole new set of hairs ready for the next lot of kids to come in and annoy him. So that's what he does, and he only does it once a year because it's a very tiring thing for him to do. Now, hands up, who thinks this spider is poisonous? Nobody? You do. Well, you're absolutely right. He is poisonous. In fact, I've got the news for you. All spiders are poisonous. Every single spider in the world is poisonous. The little money spiders you find at home, the bigger ones you might find in the bath, they're all poisonous. But don't go rushing home and start killing spiders. British spiders and any spider you're likely to meet can't hurt you. British spiders are much too small. Their fangs are very, very tiny. Although they've got poison, they can't inject it into you because their fangs won't go through your skin. This is even if they wanted to bite you, and they don't. If you find a spider at home, it will run very fast to get away from you. It certainly won't try to bite you. Even if the fangs could go through your skin, the amount of poison that a British spider could inject is so small, it wouldn't bother you at all. So please don't kill spiders. Most people don't, I'm glad to say. They're very useful animals. They kill a lot of pests and flies. They are very ancient creatures. They've been around for millions and millions of years, long before human beings were ever thought of. And they're very talented animals too. If you've ever looked closely at a spider's web, it's an amazing piece of engineering which no human being can hope to duplicate without a lot of expensive tools. So please have respect for spiders, and parents teach your kids to respect spiders because they're very interesting creatures. If you find one at home, obviously you don't really want them in your house, so scoot them up gently and put them outside, or if you're frightened of them, scream for help to get someone else to put them outside. But please don't kill them, because you've really got no right to kill anything just because you don't like it. Now, this spider is not British, and he's obviously a lot bigger than the ones that you find at home. His fangs are about a centimetre long, about 3/8 of an inch, and he's quite capable of biting through your skin, and if he decided to bite you, you would feel it. It was a very painful bite, so I'm told. Enough poison would be injected into your skin to make your hands and arms swell up, and you might feel a bit sick for a few days. The good news is you wouldn't die. You might get rather ill, but you wouldn't die. A normal healthy adult is not really at risk from dying from one of these, although the bite itself wouldn't exactly be the most fun experience you've ever had. So although people keep these as pets, we don't really recommend it because you can't teach them tricks like the parrot. You can't take them out for walks or anything. They're really just living ornaments, and as I say, they can bite. Now, the reason he's not biting is he's got no reason to. Please remember that animals are not vicious or aggressive. They don't attack and kill for fun. We all know that the world's most dangerous animal, the human being, does that, but animals don't. They need a reason, and they always have a good reason if they're going to attack you. An animal might attack you if he sees you as food. Now, he obviously doesn't see me as food because I'm bigger than the average cricket. Now, they may attack if they're defending their young. Now, he's got no young to defend, so he's not bothered. He may attack if they're frightened. That is the reason most animals attack, because they're frightened of you. Most wild animals are terrified of human beings with very good reason, because we're not very nice to them. But these spiders, they're just not easily frightened. You can't pick up every big hairy spider like this, because some of them will be easily frightened and will bite as soon as you pick them up. But as long as you handle these ones gently and carefully, he's really not going to get frightened, so he's not going to bite. He's never bitten me. I've been handling him for about 4 years, and he's never bitten me. He's got no reason to. Probably if you swung him round by one leg or prodded him or something, you can annoy them enough to bite, but it does take quite a lot, and I'm not going to do that. One final thing about these spiders before I show them to everybody is that in Mexico people eat them. The natives down in Mexico think spiders are very delicious toasted, and they toast them and they pass them round on big leaves along with the peanuts and crisps at their parties. So if you ever go to Mexico, don't get invited to any parties if I were you. Or if you do, don't eat the twiglets. Because you never know what they might be. Actually, I think they eat the juicy bit in the middle, but we won't go into that. I will walk round with him. Do take a photograph of him if you want to. He's quite photogenic and he doesn't mind a flash. Don't touch him, please. If you touch him, you might upset him. If you upset him, it's me he's going to bite, not you. Besides, if you touch him, you'll get those hairs on your skin and they itch like mad for several days. They're worse than the whole skin. So if you kids can stand up quietly, and I'll show him around. Then when I've shown him to everybody, I'll put him away and I might as well use a plastic spider for all the movement he does. We don't bring out anything here that's going to kill you. We do like to keep our business. Not to mention our staff. Now, Sid, these don't have any poison at all. As I say, they've got tiny teeth that point backwards so they can get a good grip on their prey. And they kill their prey not by poison but by suffocation. They wrap a few coils tightly around a small animal and they squeeze it so it can't breathe anymore. Because they have to physically overpower their prey like this, they do grow quite large and muscular. Now Sid is about 5 or 6 feet long. He weighs a good few pounds because he's very muscular, he's quite heavy. When he's fully grown, he'll be about 200 pounds in weight and be about 18 or 20 feet long, and I shan't be lifting him up then, because I'm not that strong. How many stone? About 200 pounds, I don't know, you work it out. 14 pounds in a stone. Yeah, a bit of mental arithmetic for you to do. But quite a few, I would think. Over 14 stone, yeah, I definitely won't be lifting him up then. I'll tell you in a minute, I'll come to that. Now, a bit small, you want to get a much bigger one than this. Now, would I bring out anything that was going to hurt you? If we want to get rid of our straw parties, we put them in the cobra pits, okay? We don't bring out friendly Indian pythons for them to hold. And the mother-in-law can hold a rattlesnake at no extra charge. Right, now, where was I? Yes. Now these are, as I say, these kill their prey by suffocation. Now, in case you're worried, he's not going to try and suffocate you or me. As I told you before, and I can't repeat often enough because people still say, will he bite me, will he hurt me? Animals are not vicious or aggressive. He's not going to attack you for fun. Now, he doesn't see you as food. You're too big. And even if he was a wild snake that wasn't thoroughly used to being handled, all our pythons were unwanted pets that people gave us because they don't realise how big they grow, and people take them into their houses, and then they outgrow their houses, so they give them to us. So all our pythons are very used to being handled. And bearing in mind, if I told you an animal's not frightened, he's quite at ease, and he doesn't see you as food, he's really got no reason to be nasty. And he doesn't see you as food because you're too big.
Big fish on.
This is this to the gate. There's that there. There's that there. And right up there. That's easy road. That's road up there.
That run into Craggy like? They've been pushing about. Aye, in there. I think we should who's going to afford them. Interesting here, look. Yeah, the sea, it's tongue. We see Dora Sands when we go by them along there. There's some. You want to see the Dora Sands further along here? They were really nice. A lot nicer see down with the ferry is the Cape Rathdom. Seem nicer than that, the sand and everything. The Dora Sands are really nice. They're like a bit of store. Well, that's the road that they use now. See what happens, you actually...
Well, that might be the U road, that's not the old days. The old days you must have right round about there, back up on the side.
See what actually happens?
That's just never like this.
No, well, that's how it is now, like. There's a car behind me. You should be able to see that road doubling back and sailed in there now. Eh? How did he?
Oh, I didn't see it. I drove far down in it, so. No, just there on the road. On your
Where?
bag out here.
If you look for a bit of slope there. He's looking well. I hope he has no employer. We're just getting a right blow where we were. It might not be too
good you at the deep end round here. And this is how we did to the van dam.
Alright, take a photo of the line. Just go and get it. Maybe give us one. Because the bikes are and shit. I don't know, grand or something. Now then, how do you park this thing?
To the left.
Look man, there's such a... Because that 13 gauge is way do. It's just a plate to fly with the flumming hook out. They're hiding down the bank like you are. There's a fair wee height down here. Just going up, and we'll wait for the boy, yeah, smile on the way though.